There's a good chance your dog is struggling every time you leave the house. The moment that door closes, their heart rate goes up. Stress kicks in. Some dogs pant for hours. Some scratch at doors or walls trying to get out, and you'd never even know it's happening. Most people have no idea what their dog goes through when they're left alone, but by the end of this video, you'll know how to make your dog calm when you leave. Number 7, change your goodbye. The way you leave might feel small, but to your dog, it isn't. A long, emotional goodbye feels like the right thing to do. You talk to them more, you stay a little longer, you try to soften the moment because it feels wrong to just walk out. It feels kind, but for a dog that already struggles being alone, it can make things worse. There was a study that tracked stress levels in dogs and their owners over time. What stood out was how closely they matched. The dogs weren't just reacting to being left, they were reacting to how their owner felt about leaving. So when your voice changes, when you hesitate, when it turns into a moment, your dog picks up on that right away. They don't understand the words, but they understand the feeling behind them. From their side, something about this moment feels off. You're acting differently right before you disappear, and that's what sticks with them. Leaving calmly helps more than most people expect. One simple goodbye, normal tone, and you go. No build-up and no lingering. It can feel a bit cold at first, but what you're really doing is removing the signal that something bad is about to happen. Over time, your dog starts to read it differently. This is just part of the day, nothing more. And this next part is where the stress often starts building before you even reach the door. Number 6, break the pre-departure pattern. For a lot of dogs, the stress starts before you leave. They notice the same things every day. Shoes going on, keys moving, the way you move around right before you go. Even small things like picking up your bag or turning off a light can become part of that pattern. You might not think about it, but they've seen that sequence enough times to know what it leads to. So they don't wait for the door to close. Their stress is already building before that. You can usually see it if you pay attention. They follow you more closely, watch you, or start getting restless. There are a couple of ways to change this. One is to break the pattern. Pick up your keys and stay. Put your coat on and sit back down. Walk toward the door and then go back inside. At first it feels pointless, but over time those actions stop meaning the same thing. The other option is to make one signal consistent. Something simple, like placing an object by the door only when you actually leave. That gives your dog something clear to focus on, instead of trying to read everything. Either way, you're taking away that constant guessing. When they're always trying to figure out if you're about to leave, they stay on edge the whole time. What your dog carries into those hours alone doesn't just come from the moment you leave. It also comes from what happened right before it. Number 5, exercise them before you go.
He is going to jump, correct, jump, correct, jump, correct.
If your dog hasn't had a real outlet for their energy, that doesn't disappear when you leave. It stays with them. When stress hits, the body releases cortisol. That part is normal, but it doesn't clear right away. It takes time to come back down. If that stress keeps happening day after day, it starts to build. You might not notice it immediately, but it shows up in how they react when you leave. That's why a quick walk isn't always enough. They need something that actually uses their body and their brain. A faster walk where they can sniff and explore, a game that gets them moving, or even a few minutes of searching for food. Something that feels like a real release. After that, their body settles differently. They move slower, they're less alert, and they're more likely to rest. A dog that's had proper exercise doesn't watch you leave the same way. This matters even more for certain breeds like Huskies, German Shepherds, Border Collies, and Australian Shepherds. They're built to move and think for long periods of time. When they don't get that, it builds up and comes out in other ways, like chewing, pacing, or constant restlessness. So when you leave, you're not just leaving them alone. You're leaving them with energy they don't know what to do with. Even 10 to 15 minutes of real activity can change how they handle the next few hours. Once that energy is dealt with, the next thing to look at is where they spend that time. Number 4, build a safe zone instead of using a crate.
I can drop it in the crate I just want her to like the environment.
A lot of people are told to use a crate, and for some dogs, that works. But for a dog that's already anxious, being closed into a small space can make that feeling stronger. They're trying to move, trying to follow you, and suddenly they can't. That pressure builds fast. Some dogs will scratch or bite at the crate or keep trying to get out the entire time you're gone. They're not being difficult, they're trying to escape that feeling. What tends to work better is giving them a space where they can move. A room or a gated area works well. Somewhere they're not trapped, but still safe. That alone can make a difference because they're not fighting against something. And one detail that helps more than people expect is your scent. Leaving something you've worn gives them something familiar to settle around. To your dog, that smell tells them you're still around, even if you're not in the room. It doesn't fix everything, but it takes some of the edge off. Now they have space. They have your scent, and they're starting from a calmer place. But if there's nothing to do, the time still drags. Number 3, rotate their enrichment.
Okay, buddy, are you ready for your hour-long bath? Good boy.
If there's nothing to do, your dog will find something. And it's usually not something you want. That's when you start seeing repetitive behavior, like licking, pacing, or chewing the same spot over and over. There's research showing that dogs in low stimulation environments can develop patterns like this, not because something is wrong with them, but because their environment isn't giving them enough. So you give them something to engage with, a food toy, a puzzle feeder, or even hiding their food so they have to find it, something that gives their brain a bit of work. But dogs get used to things quickly. A toy that keeps them busy today can be ignored in a couple of days. It didn't stop working, it just stopped being interesting. So instead of leaving everything out, it helps to rotate. Put some things away and bring them back later so they feel new again. That small change keeps them engaged longer. It doesn't have to be complicated. It just needs to give them something to focus on while you're gone. Once that's in place, there's one more thing that affects them more than most people realize. Number 2, choose their sound environment. A lot of people leave the TV on. It feels like you're giving them company, but from your dog's side, it's not always calming. They hear much more than we do. Sounds that feel normal to you can come across as sharp or unpredictable to them. A random TV channel can mean sudden noises, changes in volume, and sounds that don't make sense without context. That can keep them alert instead of relaxed. Some types of sound work better. Slower music, softer tones, or a steady human voice tend to help more. Audiobooks can work well for this. Not because your dog understands the words, but because the voice stays consistent. It doesn't jump around or surprise them, which makes it easier to settle. One thing to keep in mind is that they get used to it quickly, so changing it every now and then helps keep that calming effect. You've covered the environment, the energy, and the routine around leaving. The last part is what ties all of it together. Number 1, stick to the same routine every day. None of this works if it only happens once. Your dog is learning from what happens over and over again. A calm goodbye helps when it's consistent. Exercise helps when it's regular. Enrichment works when it keeps happening. The same goes for the space you leave them in and the sounds around them. Over time, all of that becomes a pattern. Dogs rely on patterns to understand what's going on around them. When things happen the same way, often enough, they stop trying to figure it out each time. They already know what to expect, and that's when they start to relax. Your dog doesn't understand where you're going or how long you'll be gone. All they have is what's happened before. So, every time you leave and come back, you're building that expectation that this ends with you returning. And over time, that's what helps them settle. It doesn't happen all at once. You might not see a big change in a day or two, but if you stick with it, you'll start to notice small shifts. They settle a little faster. They react a little less when you pick up your keys. They don't follow you as closely when you're about to leave. Those small changes are what build into something bigger. And once that pattern is there, your dog isn't guessing anymore. They're not waiting in that same tense way. They already know how this goes. If this helped, leave a like and subscribe. It lets me know to keep making videos like this. I'm curious, what's the first thing you're going to change when you leave the house tomorrow?